So I always say that Eugene and I pretty much run on vibes alone. And I've always said that each neighborhood in Eugene has a different livability, a different feel. And I often talk about that as something intangible that I just feel is like can't be measured. And that is a hard thing to get across to people who may be moving to Eugene and want to understand what neighborhood would best suit their family and their lifestyle. So what I did today is I created a ranking system for all of the neighborhoods in Eugene. My name is Hannah Caldwell. I am a real estate agent in Eugene, and I specialize in helping people who are looking to move to Eugene from out of state or out of area find the perfect neighborhood that suits them and their lifestyle. Let's talk first about what I used to rank each of these neighborhoods. So I used 6 categories to rank the neighborhoods. Those 6 categories are appreciation, schools, crime, walk score, amenities, and commutes to downtown/UO because you're either going downtown to like do things or you work at U of O. So in each of these categories, I created a scoring system that scored things either 0, 1, or 2. And then at the end, we will add up all of those numbers, 0, 1, and 2. And then the points will correlate to a star system, 1 star to 5 stars. And I think that you will be surprised. This is why I wanted to make this as objective as possible, is because I know that I have biases, and I was shocked by some of the neighborhoods that scored certain things. So let's talk a little bit more about that grading system. So appreciation, anything that was 2% or lower in terms of appreciation got a 0. Anything 2.1% to 6% got a 1, and anything 6.1% and higher got a 2, which is the best. Then we have schools. So we looked at niche.com for school grades, and there actually is quite a lot of variance in school grades within these neighborhoods, especially when you're looking at elementary, middle schools, because there are so many elementary and middle schools in some of these neighborhoods. So I did base it primarily off of the high school ratings that these neighborhoods would feed into, because that does eventually kind of trickle down into the primary grades. And that made it really easy for me, because I just did, if the school had something in the C's score, then it got a 0. If it had something in the B's score, it got a 1. If it had something in an A score, it got a 2. So that made it super easy for me. Then I did crime. Crime is an extremely hard statistic in Eugene to measure, and you have to be very careful about what sources you are using to look at crime, because crime can be measured in a multitude of ways based in comparison to a multitude of different averages or indices. So I kind of like mushed some things together. So I looked at crimegrade.org, and I also looked at doorprofit.com, which are 2 kind of sites that aggregate a bunch of crime data into something that is hopefully digestible. What I will say, and what I found, is that if you look at crimegrade.org, Eugene looks like it is just a hotbed for crime. But if you look at doorprofit.com, totally the opposite. So the best measurement that I found was what percentage each Eugene neighborhood has crime below the national average, based on like the national crime average. So the way that I graded that is each neighborhood 5% or less below the national average or above the national average, 0. 5% to 30% below the national average, 1. 30% or more below the national average was a 2. Yes, crime was my most difficult field to kind of consolidate the information for. Then I had walk score. On this, I just used walkscore.com. I have to say, not my favorite website. It doesn't address neighborhoods as well as I would like in terms of like breaking down the neighborhoods, but I did the best I could kind of to fit each neighborhood. And on that one, it was, if it had a walk score of 49 or lower, it got a 0. If it was 50 to, I want to say 70, it got a 1, and 70 and above, it got a 2, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Amenities, this did get subjective. Amenities was a little bit subjective. It just was like, what sort of amenities? How close by were they? How desirable of amenities are they? and that kind of stuff. When I say amenities, I mean, I am talking about some of your like basic things, like your shopping, your dentist, your doctor, whatever it is. But I'm talking more about like health and wellness, fitness, lifestyle enjoyment, parks, that kind of stuff is what I'm talking about when I talk about amenities. And then with the commute to downtown RUO, that was also a really easy category. If it is 10 minutes or less of a commute, then it gets a 2. If it is a 10 to 15 minute commute, it gets a 1. And then if it is 15 minutes or more, it gets a 0. So that is our scoring system, just so it's laid out there, clear as day. Now let's get into the neighborhoods. We're starting with the neighborhood that is a 1-star neighborhood. And there's gonna be a caveat here on this neighborhood because it is Bethel. And Bethel so often gets lumped with Danabo. It literally is like when people talk about the neighborhood, they talk about Bethel Danabo. And the reason that I wanted to split them up for this specific scoring system is because now I live in Danabo, and so this is part of the bias that I was trying to avoid, but I do think that there is like a distinct difference between Bethel and Danabo. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear. And when I'm talking about Bethel, I'm talking about active Bethel. So this is going to be everything east of Echo Hollow all the way through to 99 and including Train Song. So average price point for homes in active Bethel neighborhood is around $400,000. That or a little bit lower, $395,000. And that is going to be the lowest price point in all of our neighborhoods of Eugene in terms of an average price point as well. So that tracks with it being the 1-star. It has a very low rate of appreciation. It plays pretty stagnant. Year over year, it's been 1.2% appreciation. So you aren't seeing a huge level of growth in the value of homes in Bethel either. I ranked schools in Bethel based off of, like I said, high schools. So Willamette High School actually, surprisingly, has a score of a B on niche.com. What I was not surprised about was the crime rate in active Bethel. The crime rate in active Bethel, based on our little conglomeration of those websites, was 35 to 45% above the national average. Now, what I will say about crime in Eugene as a whole is we do have like a decently high crime rate, and it was heavily weighted toward property crime, theft, burglary, car break-ins, bicycle theft, like personal property being stolen, as opposed to violent crime. So even though that this crime rate says 35 to 45% above national average, its violent crime rate is still like in line with what is the national average. It's not like our violent crime rate is also 35 to 45% above the violent crime rate of the national average. Also, it is West Eugene, so its walk score is a 38. Not super walkable. And then amenities, of course, it doesn't have a whole lot of like super desirable amenities because of where it's at. So you have Winco. The fun thing that is in the active Bethel is the family fun centers. That includes like Putters, which is a mini golf and laser tag place, Lane 25, which is a 21 and over bowling alley. So even though this is like the highest crime area and, you know, it has these things that we're worried about, it does still have literal family attractions that lots of people throughout all of the neighborhoods in Eugene still go to. And then of course, again, West Eugene. So the commute to downtown is 15 plus minutes. So let's talk about the 2-star neighborhood. We haven't gone very far. We just went right over to Danabo. And so like I said, there is a little bit of nuance, but they are relatively the same overall and oftentimes referred to as one large area, Bethel Danabo. Danabo, however, does have an average price point of $420,000, so getting a little bit higher. What's interesting about single family homes in Danabo is that they are almost exclusively built in 2000 or more recent. So they are newer homes. They tend to be a bit larger homes, but they still fall in that like $450,000 price range. And so you do get a lot of value in single family homes in Danabo, which is one of the big differences between Bethel and Danabo. There was not a different appreciation score for Bethel and Danabo, so we're putting Danabo at 1.2% kind of flat appreciation. I do think that there's a potential that this changes because it's one of the only areas in Eugene that is being actively built in or expanding. So I do see that changing in the near future, that Danabo and Bethel will probably continue to separate in these metrics. Of course, they both feed to Willamette High School, which is in the Bethel School District. So a score of B there. And the big difference between Bethel and Danabo is the crime rate. So we talked about the crime rate in Bethel at 45% above the national average. Danabo is 15 to 20% below the national average. So same walk score, 38, not amazingly walkable. But I would say that Danabo has closer and easier access to some of the amenities that you might be interested in West Eugene. So the great thing about West Eugene, despite it being as far away as it is, and I think that they did this because that urban growth boundary was starting to get so removed, is that they did start providing services to West Eugene. So we have Echo Hollow Pool, which is a community pool that rivals Amazon Community Pool and has, the City of Eugene swim lessons and has an indoor-outdoor pool, a heated outdoor pool. So a lot of the school's swim teams still practice at Echo Hollow, even if they're not in the Bethel School District, just because the pool is accessible for so much of the year. There's the Bethel Community Health Clinic, the Bethel Satellite Library branch, and then they have really put a lot of value into parks in Bethel. I would say in Danabo. They're called Bethel still. It's such a confusing thing. Candlelight Park has a dog park. So there are a lot of amenities that you would hope to find in the major parts of Eugene, out in West Eugene. And then of course, Danabo is even further west than Bethel. So again, 15+ minute commute to downtown UO. And there we are at 2 stars. As you can see, there is so much minute detail between neighborhoods in Eugene, even between this one neighborhood that is generally referred to as one area, Bethel Danabo. I have had several clients who have moved here being like, I want to move to South Eugene. Okay, South Eugene is Amazon, Fairmount, Southeast, South Hills, Crest. You want to move to South Eugene, but there's a lot of difference and nuance between those areas and things that might impact the livability, how it fits your lifestyle, how it fits your stage of life. And that is why I work to help people through these decisions on what Eugene neighborhood will truly work best for them, because it's not just South Eugene. It's not just Bethel Danabo. It's not just North Eugene. That is why I created a Eugene neighborhood relocation guide. You can download it at the QR code here or in the description box below. And this really tells you word for word the nuances between the neighborhoods, the amenities that you can find, all of the things. So if you think that this video has provided you value, make sure you download that relocation guide so you have it in your pocket to refer back to every time you watch one of my videos or have that thought, yeah, I am still thinking about moving to Eugene. Now let's talk about our 3-star neighborhoods, because there are several. The 3-star is going to be the sweet spot for people wanting specific things out of specific neighborhoods. This is where the expertise comes in, and where if you have questions and you think that you want to be in a specific neighborhood, you need to reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text. My phone number is right here, or you can always email me. So the first 3-star neighborhood we're gonna talk about is the Whitaker. Crime rate is 0 to 10% below the national average. The average price point in the WIT is going to be around $405,000. Appreciation in the WIT year over year has been negative 12%. The Whitaker is also interesting because though it is probably closest to South Eugene High School, some of it feeds to Churchill High School, and then most of it feeds to North Eugene High School. So that also brings its score kind of down, because if you look at Churchill High School, we're looking at a B-. If you look at North Eugene High School, we're looking at a C+. The reason that the Whitaker scores as high as it does is because it is in the center of town and it is up and coming. And so it is a mecca for really great restaurants and fun shopping. It has a walk score of 86 because you can walk to the Holt Center, you can walk to downtown, you can walk to Fifth Street Market, you can walk to the Columns, you have a dog park now. So in terms of amenities, the WIT is doing really well, close to downtown, 5 to 10 minutes. Our next community is River Road. Average price point for River Road is $420,000. So that is kind of like, you're talking like entry level pricing in Eugene. Like that's what we would consider like a first time home buyer, or entry level pricing is in that $420,000 to $450,000 range. So it falls right in that, which is great. It has pretty moderate appreciation, year over year, 3% appreciation, so not huge. River Road does feed to North Eugene High School, so a C+ rated school. So it gets a 0 for schools. Crime rate in River Road is 50 to 60% below the national average. This shocked me because River Road is still pretty close to downtown. And that is like probably one of the best crime scores that I saw in all of our neighborhoods. Walk score was 46. And there's a lot of stuff on River Road. You have grocery outlet, you have Dollar Tree, you have restaurants, you have medical, dental, you have Maury Jacobs Park, and then you also have access to the Ruth Bascom River Trail, which is like literally what this is. Santa Clara and River Road are both 3-star properties. We're gonna talk about Santa Clara next. Both have a walk score of 46. Amenities, we kind of talked about that, the things that are on River Road, you know, shopping, but you are closer to downtown and you do have Maury Jacobs Park. Commute 10 to 15, so mid. It's not close, but it's not far. So River Road lands in 3 stars. Next one, Santa Clara, just north of River Road. Average price point though, $465,000. Then appreciation, 6.2% year over year. So that's pretty decent growth. The crime rate in Santa Clara is 50 to 60% below the national average. That is crazy to me. Amenities, all center around like the Santa Clara Commercial Center, Albertsons, Fred Meyer, Defy, Trampoline Park, like random other restaurants and stuff, banks. It's just like your normal like suburban strip mall park. It is pretty far north, so 15+ minute commute to downtown UO, so it gets a 0 score for commute. The next 3-star neighborhood is what I usually consider like my favorite neighborhood in Eugene, Jefferson West Side. Average price point is $425,000. It's got a walk score of 86 because it's barely to the west of downtown. Like almost you can consider it downtown. You can walk to everything that downtown has to offer. Obviously the amenities are really high too because there's so much around. Like you can walk to downtown, you can walk to South Eugene. Like you can kind of just get to everywhere. Obviously commute under 5 to 10 minutes to downtown UO. Crime rate, this is the trade-off, right? So because you are as close to downtown as you are, the crime rate is 10 to 15% above the national average. Funny enough, again, Jefferson West Side, I think that you would assume feeds to South Eugene High School because that's probably the closest in terms of miles, but it actually feeds to Churchill High School. So Churchill has a B-, so middle of the road in terms of schools. Appreciation, 4% year over year, so it's holding value. Next 3-star neighborhood is Ferry Street Bridge. Average price point in Ferry Street Bridge, $460,000 to $470,000, and good appreciation, 5.9% year over year. Feeds to Sheldon High School, which has a B score. Crime rate is 20 to 25% below the national average. So still pretty safe. You are still a 10-minute commute to downtown UO, so probably one of the closest suburban feeling neighborhoods to the downtown amenities. And then the amenities that Ferry Street Bridge has itself are really attractive. Oakway Center, which is an open air mall, has, you know, Old Navy, Nordstrom Rack, Trader Joe's. Everybody loves Trader Joe's. Some really like high-end restaurants, Elizabeth's Mediterranean Foods to buy. It also is the home of Eugene Country Club and also Oakway Golf Course. So lots of golf in Ferry Street Bridge. As I keep talking, you can see why it's an attractive neighborhood for retirement or retirees. It's got a walk score of 45. We move a little bit further north, still a 3-star neighborhood, North Gillum. North Gillum's average price point is $650,000. So when we are talking about value, North Gillum is not it. What I would consider the desirable amenities. It's mostly strip malls. You do have some nicer grocery stores. You have Market of Choice. You do have hardware store and Home Depot. You do have really nice parks. So Park just opened in Crescent Village. So you don't have a whole lot in terms of like honestly much of anything. Restaurant, shopping, it's pretty limited. It's on a much smaller scale in North Gillum, so its amenities are a little bit lacking. It is, of course, much further out, so you're talking about 15 plus minutes to downtown UO, so its commute score is 0, but it does have a pretty good crime rate, 37% below the national average. It feeds to Sheldon High School, which has B score, so middle of the road schools. Did have 6.5% appreciation year over year. Our last 3-star property is Southwest Eugene or Churchill. It can be referred to both ways. So this is actually the last place that I lived before we moved to Danabo, is in the Southwest. Average price point is $500,000. Pretty standard appreciation, 5.1% year over year. So still a very strong market, still a desirable area. You have Churchill High School, which is a B-, and crime rate 10 to 15% below the national average. So like good, safe neighborhood. Walk score 27. I would say amenities are quite close by, like shopping, gyms, like there's everything under the sun on West 11th, food, you name it. So I would say amenities are close, but not walkable. So it's got a pretty poor walk score. You can definitely get to downtown UO in 10, maybe 15 minutes to the far side. So middle of the road in terms of commute. Next, we have our 4-star properties. Our 4-star neighborhoods start to be a little bit more like you're getting more things on your checklist. This is where the shock factor came in. I mean, I could not believe. Downtown Eugene, 4 stars. Downtown Eugene. That's crazy to me because obviously the downtown core, we're talking crime rate 10 to 40% above the national average. The big thing is crime. Average price point, $464,000. That is, like I said, kind of middle of the road. We talked about $450 kind of being our entry-level price point. So from a standpoint of price, $464 still says value to me. It still says that it's an accessible market for a lot of people. This was what I thought was crazy. Downtown Eugene had the highest appreciation of every neighborhood in Eugene. Downtown Eugene does also feed to South Eugene High School, which is our best school at an A-. So that's pushing its score up. It has a walk score of 89 because it's literally downtown. It has all of the amenities you could want. Downtown Eugene came out 4 stars, and now I'm thinking maybe I should move downtown. I don't know. Our next 4-star neighborhood is Friendly. Friendly comes at an average price point of $500,000 with appreciation of 7.3% year over year. If you look at Friendly Street specifically, and then like what goes to South Eugene High School versus what goes to Churchill, it literally is like this down Friendly. Like it's like 2 houses on this side of the road, and then like 1 house on this side of the road, and 2 houses like, so Friendly Street by and large will go to Churchill High School. So it got a B- score there. So it was middle of the road, but there are parts of Friendly that will go to South Eugene, which would probably bump Friendly up from a 4-star to a 5-star. I don't know that for a fact. The crime rate was 5 to 15% below the national average. So in comparison to a lot of the other neighborhoods, honestly not great, but it is still pretty close to downtown. You're talking a commute that's less than 10 minutes. So I don't know if that plays into the crime rate, but you do have a lot of fun amenities in Friendly, specifically like the Friendly Street Market area, the garden at Friendly. So you have restaurants and shopping, you have Healthy Pet, walk score of 62. Overall, Friendly is a really great place to land. A lot of people really love it. Our next 4-star neighborhood is South Eugene. South Eugene, so this was the one hard one in all of these neighborhoods because it just like really packs in a lot of neighborhoods together. If you wanted to break down the nuance of South Eugene, I kind of talked about them earlier. You would look at Amazon, you would look at Southeast, you would look at University, Fairmount, Crest, South Hills. They could all have different pros and cons and desirability, all within this one South Eugene neighborhood. So overall, 4 stars, but so much minute detail that you truly need an expert to go over. So again, if you are considering a move to Eugene and you think that you know where you want to be, but you're just not sure and you need somebody that specializes in all of these tiny differences between these neighborhoods, please give me a call, shoot me an email. I am here to help you. My goal is honestly just to make sure people are truly happy where they land in Eugene. So I would love for you to reach out and have us figure out what neighborhood is best for you, whether that's one of the 6 that I just mentioned in South Eugene, or maybe it's Danabo with me. Who knows? So this is probably the biggest thing that would differ if we broke all those neighborhoods out. But average price point in Eugene, $555,000. So it is going to be relatively expensive in comparison to a lot of neighborhoods in Eugene. What's interesting about this is that South Eugene as a whole, as all of those neighborhoods, had a negative 8% appreciation year over year. South Eugene feeds to South Eugene High School, of course, so an A- school, 30% less than national average crime rate. So again, very safe. A walk score of 64. In terms of amenities, let's talk about those. You have so many things that like people think of when they think of Eugene. Hayward Field for track. You have Matthew Knight Arena for basketball, volleyball, all major musicians that come through Eugene. Like if you were like gonna go see Tim McGraw or somebody, he's gonna play at Matthew Knight Arena. You have the YMCA, which is brand new, beautiful, valuable. Like I could make a whole video just about the YMCA and how great it is. You have Laurelwood Golf Course. You have multiple like small health food grocery stores. There's so many amenities that I kind of can't cover it all. The commute is great. Less than 10 minutes downtown Yovo. Unless you are like super deep south or super high in the hills, because the roads just get so windy. It takes a long time to get up and down from there. But the vast majority of South, your commute is less than 10 minutes. So it's got a great score for commutes. So 4 stars, probably the biggest things that impacted South Eugene and prevented it from being a 5-star are the appreciation. And that's kind of it. Because like everything else, it scores really well. So the only thing is the appreciation. That takes us to our finale, which is our one neighborhood that got 5 stars. Can you guess what it is? As you can see, the sun set on our only 5-star neighborhood in Eugene, College Hill. So you are looking at that 600 to $1 million on top of College Hill. You can like go down to the base of College Hill a little bit that is, you know, not quite friendly, but like not on the hill. And you can find things maybe in the high 400s that need some work and then into the 500s. But you're not on the hill, which is where everybody, of course, wants to be. In terms of appreciation, College Hill beat out all of the rest of our neighborhoods except downtown. So from a true neighborhood standpoint, College Hill is vastly outpacing all of the other neighborhoods in terms of appreciation at 8.7% year over year. Also, in terms of crime, you are looking at 30 to 40% below the national average. So again, very safe neighborhood. I mean, the appreciation is really what pushed College Hill into that 5-star ranking, because similarly to South Eugene, it feeds to South Eugene High School. So it got a 2 score for schools because South Eugene High School is A- rated. Again, crime was low, so it got a 2 score there. Walk score is still pretty decent, 67. So you do have a lot accessible to you. That is another reason that College Hill has such a draw, is because if you go down, you have Friendly Street on one side. So you have Friendly Street Market and the Garden on Friendly and all of the fun things that that area has to offer. You go down the other side and you have South Eugene. So you have Amazon Park and all of the things that are included in Amazon Park and the running trails and kids sports. And then you go to the north and you've hit downtown. I mean, when we're talking commute, again, 2 score. You're in downtown or University of Oregon in 5 to 7 minutes from College Hill. I mean, it is named College Hill for a reason. So it becomes very clear why everybody loves College Hill. I'm not surprised at all to find College Hill being our only 5-star rated neighborhood. So that is our ranking of all of the neighborhoods in Eugene. I'm sorry that I didn't break down South Eugene a little bit more, because it does have a lot of, differences. So if that's something that you would like to see in another video, is me breaking down the specific areas of South Eugene, let me know. I'd be happy to do that. If you found value in this video, then make sure you check out my next video. I will be telling you where I would move if I was moving to Eugene in 2026. And again, if you are thinking about making a move, you want expert opinion on what neighborhood would suit you best, then shoot me a call, text, email, anytime. I am here to help, and I will catch you in the next video.